Hello, hello. This is a reading for Virgo. I'm going to be using the tarot and the I Ching for your reading today. Maybe incorporating a little bit of the astrology that's relevant to the time I'm recording this reading. Using the Aleister Crowley Thoth deck for your tarot portion of the reading, and I've actually already cast your hexagram for the I Ching. And today we have hexagram number 34, which is great power. Got that. Okay. I apologize for the aircraft in the background. Hopefully you can still hear me. It's been like this all week. Okay, so this hexagram number 34, is composed of the true trigrams heaven and thunder. Heaven is the Chinese element of metal, and thunder is the Chinese element of wood. Okay, I'm going to read from Benabel Wen's I Ching, the Oracle book, just focusing on the general oracle for the hexagram, and then also on the two changing lines that you have here. And I also invite you to go ahead and do some reading on the individual lines for yourself, just to give you a little bit more insight on what this hexagram signifies for you. And maybe even also look into the transformed hexagram, because these two changing lines, are going to change into their opposite line. So this yang line here at line 3 is going to become a yin line, changing this bottom trigram into wind, I believe. And then you have the 6th line here is the changing line. So this will be a yang line, and that turns that to fire. So I believe that's fire over wind. Let me look real quick for you just to make sure. I'm sorry, lake. Lake is what is the trigram with the yin line at the top and the two yang lines below. So we're going to go with lake, and fire over lake is hexagram number 38. So if you want, you can do a little bit of reading on what that hexagram signifies. All right, so the oracle for hexagram number 34, great power, says, never strike until you can strike at full strength. Be alert, be vigilant. Great power attracts great danger. Align yourself with heaven to strike with the force of heaven, and never with the force of arrogance or vanity. Do not use excessive force. Be tempered, measured, and fair. Only one who is weak would be merciless. Great power subjects one to great injury. A favorable omen for fulfillment of destiny, but be wise, or else your blessing could become your downfall. One of the images that was coming to mind was of somebody who has received information that's very, not necessarily shocking, but is very important information, and they feel this need to share it with other people. But because of the nature of the information, you have to be very measured, very careful about how you share it with other people, because it may be received in a negative way and basically reflect poorly on your character, or reflect have a destructive impact on your reputation or on your livelihood in a way. So making sure that although you know this, you have access to this information, or you have access to this power, this drive, whatever it is, like making sure that you express it in a way that is cognizant of how it may be received. Maybe even not divulging the information, and instead acting with that knowledge, allowing your work to speak for itself, rather than putting yourself in a precarious position where you might be misinterpreted or received poorly, so to speak. Anyway, that was just the image that came to mind when I was contemplating this hexagram, but we'll keep reading. All right, so thunder and lightning in the sky, exalted strength, the making of greatness. The sage observes the ways of ritual, ceremony, courtesy, and propriety. Every gesture of action and rites and in the details of etiquette reflect the whole of one's character. Favors and gains to come. Great power puts a flock in danger. Be alert and vigilant. An auspicious omen. Hexagram 34 corresponds with the vernal equinox and thus symbolizes progress, growth, and fertile times. Okay, we're going to skip over this. The interplay between hexagrams 33 and 34. Hexagram 34 denotes great personal power and accumulating an abundance of resources to further your endeavor. If hexagram 33 was about retreating and laying low until you're ready, then hexagram 34 is the oracle telling you you're ready. Strike at full strength. However, there is a foreboding undertone, one warning of conspirators who envy your power and strength, people who might receive you poorly. Okay, so we have the two changing lines, line 3 and line 6. I'm going to read from line 3 first. The unprincipled uses excessive force. The sage uses effortless action. Forecast is that of a risky undertaking. Dangers. A ram charges headfirst for the fence. Its horns get entangled. The unprincipled and unwise wield power openly for show. The better way is to conceal your power and give the impression of powerlessness. To display force now is risky and could bode ill for your endeavor. Keep away from the fence and avoid further entanglement in the situation. Wang technically translates to nothing, not doing, not having, or staying stealthy. It is also the image of a net that catches what it needs to catch without having to take any action. Benabel Wen, has extrapolated that meaning to Wu Wei, or Taoist non-action, effortless action. The path of least resistance. All right, so 6th line. A ram charges headfirst for the fence, unable to retreat, unable to advance. No advantages gained, hardships followed by success and blessings. Caught in a precarious position, feeling trapped by circumstances, though they were circumstances of your own doing when you acted rashly out of emotion, rather than wisely, principled, and reasoned. No good comes of the rash action that has put you in this trapped position of being unable to change course, and yet also unable to complete the endeavor. Hardships to come, but the hardships are short-lived. Blessings and good tidings will soon follow. As I'm saying that, I'm thinking about where Mercury is right now. Mercury is your first house ruler, obviously, and also your 10th house ruler, but rules over the sign of Virgo and is currently transiting through the last decan of Libra, which is your 12th house, the house of loss and hardship, isolation and difficulty, even hospitalization or imprisonment. But with its transit through the 12th house, there's almost this promise that it'll eventually break through this kind of dark place into your first house and kind of put you under the spotlight, put you in a position of power and authority, of self-evident effulgence. Not sure why that was the phrase that came to mind, but making, kind of connecting with your own personal power and energy and being able to express it in a way that is accurate and cohesive. But yeah, I'm gonna see if we need to shuffle these cards a little more. I don't think so. Okay, I'm gonna start laying these out. You got your first card as the Queen of Cups. Water sign, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. You have the Knight of Discs in reverse. This is an earth sign. Taurus, I am blanking, oh my gosh. Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo. You, hello. I can't believe I'm forgetting you. Princess of Discs, a lot of court cards. Another earth sign. We have the Two of Cups in reverse, first decan of Cancer. Interesting. Then we have the Ten of Coins, Wealth. This is the last decan of your own sign, Virgo. Again, apologies on the aircraft. There's been so many. I can't sit around and wait for them to pass. Nine of Discs, which is the middle decan of Virgo, middle decan of your sign. Then we got the Five of Swords in this deck called Defeat. And that is the first decan of Fixed Air, which is Aquarius. We have the Six of Wands in reverse. Okay, that's the middle decan of Fixed Fire, Leo. Three of Discs. That's the middle decan of Capricorn. Then we have the Eight of Swords, which is the first decan of Gemini. bottom of the deck, 10 of Cups in reverse. Last deck in a Pisces. Okay. And with that mention of Pisces, I'm looking over at this Queen of Cups here. This represents somebody who is kind of attuning to a receptive state of being, who's receiving energy of a watery nature, because it's cups. And so you're thinking about dreams or visions, emotional, anything with like an emotional component, being receptive to that experience and trying to glean some understanding of it. Maybe allowing your dreams to provide maybe even forewarning, some sort of like prophetic foreknowledge of events before they happen, or at least informing your decision making in waking life. You do have the nine of discs underneath that, so I feel like there's this desire to take this rather abstract, watery, visionary type energy and sort of crystallize it into a material foundation, a material component with this 9 of discs here. I'm looking over at this Knight of Discs, and he's kind of oriented, because of his reversal, he's oriented so that he's looking over at this Queen of Discs here. And this Queen of Cups, I said not Queen of Discs. This Knight of Discs is sort of embodying the opposite energy, because, the Queen of Cups can be very fluid, very flowy, very almost ethereal, very spiritual, very faithful, romantic type of energy. And the Knight of Discs is very practical, very much in the world, on, 2 feet on the ground, trying to make sure that everything is rooted in rational, practical thought, and has a basis in conventional reality. So maybe there's like some sort of dynamic, this partnership of like one person sort of communing with the divine in a way, and then another who's trying to counterbalance that a little bit and say, okay, but here's the actual things that we need to do in order to implement, whatever this vision that you're having is, whatever these dreams that you're having, like, could be 2 aspects of your own self. Like, this is the dichotomy between like your sleeping consciousness, your dreaming consciousness, and your waking consciousness, operating within the material world rather than the world of dreams, and trying to merge those 2 perspectives. And I feel like the meeting point is this Princess of Discs, like being open to a new approach to things, being open to new methods of achieving the same results, maybe for efficiency's sake. Like the image that's coming to mind is like somebody who's knitting or like crocheting something, and somebody comes in and shows them a new technique that sort of cuts the time it takes to do a specific stitch and a half, like quick stitching, rather than just like sitting there and going through these very large movements that take a longer period of time to complete. It's like this is being open to that new approach, which helps to provide some expedience. It is more efficient than what was being done previously. Yeah, I'm looking at her, and I'm obviously seeing like the branches behind her, but because it's in reverse, it's giving me the impression of like roots. And then she has this staff here being kind of directed upward, like drawing from, I keep wanting to say sources, but it's like it's not quite getting the point across that's trying to come through. Like drawing from maybe the traditions or the techniques of the past, and trying to channel them into into something that's single pointed, like singular focused, like going back to the energy that I was connecting with this hexagram here of like somebody having information that they really want to share with other people, but like making sure that their approach to it is done well. Like if we're going to go through an analogy of like somebody in a teaching position, for example, obviously they know their stuff if they're in a teaching position, but making sure that they're drawing from their sources of information and knowledge in a way that's not necessarily organized, but in a way that is not all over the place, is not scattered. Like it's very much like this connects with this because of this, and in a linear way we can move on to this next point because it also connects with this, but we can also connect it back to the original point, but making sure that that entire network comes together with a central point, a central argument, or a central purpose even. With this Two of Cups in reverse here, I'm thinking about how it can be almost difficult to try to convey this information in a way that's not convoluted. Like there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of complexity, a lot of branches. You provide information about one thing, but in order to understand that information you need to branch off into like 3 or 4 other tangents, and then to really understand that you have to kind of it keeps going. So making sure that you're covering the bases, that you're alluding to all these different rabbit holes, or these different context providing tangents, and bringing them together to reinforce the singular point that you need to ascertain is what you want to express to others. Hopefully that makes sense. Like basically coming up with a thesis for the essay, a thesis for the statement, a thesis for the lesson in the class, like making sure that you can go off on these other tangents but make them relevant to this purpose, to this single purpose that you have in mind. I'm looking back at this Queen of Cups, and I'm just like thinking about how she's like saying sleep on it. Like if you feel scattered today, trying to bring all this together in a way that's clear and articulate and is apt to be received well, and you're just struggling with figuring out how to make that happen, sleep on it, rest, pull away, lean into the path of least resistance, the path of inaction. Trust that in leaning back into a receptive state of being, you'll be provided with the nourishment you need to re-enter an active state of being. You have the 10 of Discs right over here. That last decan of your own sign. This is like the culmination of material energy. This is having the resources available to you, having I don't know why we keep going back to the teacher analogy, but I'm seeing like all the different texts, like all the different books physically there on your desk, and writing out on a sheet of paper all the different points, outlining things that align with your thesis, and like providing sources back to the specific page numbers within these books. I don't know, like there's this very like clear theme of like conglomerating information to support a statement, to support an idea, to support a class or a lesson, even. Like, this teacher analogy just keeps coming through. Yeah, and this Five of Swords right here under the Knight of Discs, maybe this is a process of like connecting with really abstract, intuitive information that's really important and that you know needs to be shared with other people, but making sure that you have the proof, the physical proof to back it up. Like finding the evidence within conventional, rational reality so that you can bridge the gap between the really abstract, formless, easily diminished or easily, I don't want to say disproven, easily disregarded spiritual information, and making sure that it's confirmed by, these rational sources of information. Because there's this Knight of Discs, in reverse over here, and I feel like he's like the point of challenge for this Queen of Cups approach of like, I just know that this is going to happen because I felt it or saw it in a dream or in a meditation session. And then this Knight of Discs is like, what does that have to do with the real world? And whether that point of challenge is within yourself or is actually like being expressed through another person, this Five of Swords is like the representation of that energy, that challenge, that you need to make sure you have your points backed up with evidence or you'll be met with defeat. Like, again, like being very tactful, being mindful of even etiquette or timing, having paid attention to the information, I hate this term, but like fact-checking yourself, so that when you do act, it's seamless. Like it'll withstand challenge. It'll withstand opposition. It'll withstand inquiry even. Because having this information obviously can be very like exciting, like you want to immediately just go and just tell somebody about it. But it's not going to be productive unless you have done the work necessary to confirm it with evidence. I'm hoping that makes sense. Have the sources at hand, like those texts. Have the pages of the specific pieces of information that you're connecting back to or referencing on a sheet of paper, and have it organized in a way so that you know how to get to things efficiently and you're able to back your claim up to come to your own defense. Sorry. Next we have the Six of Wands, which is like the card of victory. On the Rider-Waite deck, you have these figures returning from battle, so to speak, and they're wearing the laurels of success and victory. They've won the battle. It's in reverse, and it's beneath the Princess of Discs, which gives me the sense that this is, it hasn't happened yet. Like, and it won't happen until some development has taken place, because the Princess of Discs is like a very juvenile, youthful energy, like the beginning portion of this discs unfolding, this process unfolding, and it's like you won't reach this victory until that process has been developed, has been aged, has been tested by time and through challenge. And I'm almost wondering if what I'm saying, like, not being so quick to just immediately jump and share the information that you have with somebody else, because, just that excited feeling, and the hexagram even alluded to, the ram acting rashly and charging forward and getting stuck in the fence, being met with opposition. Maybe that's something you've already done, and so now this is the energy of backtracking, going back over things, and it's going to make things a little bit more difficult for you moving forward because you've already established in the eyes of the other people around you that that your information is not watertight, or that your what you have to bring to the table doesn't withstand challenge or opposition. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you to affirm that, in fact, you have gone back and you have done the work and you have established the evidence to back up your claims, to back up the information that you have gained access to. But like the hexagram was saying, it's like in the end, success awaits. Like by pushing through the initial obstacles or opposition that resulted of a rash decision, a rash exposition even, you're met with success. For the next card, we have the Three of Discs. That middle decan of Capricorn. This is like working to establish one's place in the world. And also even having like your work examined. Again, making sure that you have outlined everything, you have all your references in place, and you have it organized in a way that not only you can access and kind of fall back on to quickly navigate through the information that you're trying to get across, but so that when your work is audited, when it's examined by other people, they can do the same, and they can hopefully not find any faults within the work that you've completed. Because it could initiate like a process of revision, which just kind of sets things back a little bit more. So just making sure you're doing that work ahead of time so that it doesn't have to be done again later. Which is hard, obviously. It's a lot of work to do that, but it pays off in the end. The next card is the Eight of Swords, which in this deck is called Interference. That's that first decan of Gemini. And it's also Jupiter's, Jupiter rules that decan of Gemini, that first decan of Gemini. So I'm thinking back to the fact that Jupiter is just stationed retrograde, I think, yesterday. Pluto is going to be stationing direct, I think, tomorrow. So it's like globally there's a lot of maybe disrupting influences that offer some sort of obstacle to whatever it is that you're working towards, whatever work it is that you're trying to complete. It's like there are things outside of your control that are maybe delaying the end result from coming to fruition. Like maybe because of distraction, like really, really weird image to come through just now, but like I remember back in 2020, like going grocery shopping and minding my own business, and then all of a sudden hearing something on the loudspeaker, like a message, like trying to encourage the populace because we're gonna make it through this together, sort of thing. But it kind of like distracts you from what you're doing in the middle of shopping. Like you're about to reach for something, and then the loudspeaker goes off, and you're like, what? Very like distracting, interfering energy. So I think maybe the message with this card is to like hold steady even when those loudspeaker moments, those distractions come up, because the work that you're doing is necessary. You have the 10 of Coins right above that interference card. It's like by working through it, the end result is perfection. It is the vision made manifest, the vision that this Queen of Cups has been deliberating over and trying to back up with evidence and give some pragmatic ground upon which it can stand up to adversity and challenge and opposition and that whole thing. And the end result is that 10 of Coins, is that ultimate manifestation of something that is enduring and can withstand the test of time and withstand inquiry and examination and even opposition. Like I keep reiterating these same points because I really want to get that point across. The work that you're doing is necessary. The message that you're trying to get across is necessary but make sure that you do it correctly. Make sure that you take all the different factors into consideration, weigh out all the evidence, and make sure that your thesis is cohesive and I don't know if foolhardy is the right word, but again, like watertight. And I'm looking over again at this Five of Swords card right here, and I'm hearing like multiple points of failure. If everything is too centralized, like if you're only relying on one piece of evidence, so to speak, I'm getting that connection with this point that all the swords are meeting at right here. There's fewer points of failure. So if that one piece can't hold up to inquiry or challenge, then the whole thing falls apart. So making sure that you have evidence confirmed by more evidence, and it's just like this net, this web of information that's all affirming to itself, like all self-affirming, to really reinforce whatever it is that you're trying to get across. And I'm trying to think like how else this imagery can kind of manifest. I guess that's the way to put it. Hopefully you can kind of extrapolate out to your own personal experience of things, and that the information I'm sharing comes across in a way that's easy for you to understand and make relevant to yourself. Hopefully not too much abstraction needs to take place in order to do so. But yeah, I think that's it for today's reading. But yeah, please share in the comments below if this resonated, any insights that you have that you feel somebody else might benefit by you sharing. But of course, be tactful. Make sure you have the evidence to back up your claims. And, be well. Take care of yourselves. Take care of the people you love. Wishing you all the best, Virgo. See ya.